Well, good evening. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done two videos in um, one day, but I figured with all the messages I got back from this one, I suppose I should. Yes, everything that I said, I meant. I'm not saying that you need to re-examine your relationship right away and see whether or not it's time to leave or anything like that. That's not what I meant by that at all. Um, I just think that that's a particular part of a relationship amongst quite a few that does not get the attention that it needs. So yeah, that's kind of what I meant by that. And then somehow the discussion or topic changed and got into a couple of other things. It branched off. And again, I'm always fascinated by this. Interacting with people, helping people if I can, you know. Um, but yeah, first off, like I said, didn't mean that you should go re-examine your relationship and decide whether or not you needed to say goodbye and put the peanut butter away today. Not at all what I was trying to do. Um, the topic kind of got brought up about. Let's see if I can kind of summarize all this up in like one or two sentences. Like fairy tale relationships or like your fairy tale person, stuff like that. Movie relationships, whatever you want to call it. And that's open for definition, many definitions. Probably a different one for each person you ask. And I'll explain. A lot of people seem to think that some of the things that I talk about or that are on the internet or that you hear are, well, that's just a fairy tale wedding or relationship or marriage or whatever. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. Depending on the amount of work you and your partner are willing to put into your relationship, and depending on how strong of a bond you have, how strong of a friendship you have, there's just a few key factors that quote unquote marriage or a movie or storybook relationship is possible. I know I used to have one, kinda didn't end happily ever after, but at the same time, this happened when I wasn't even looking for a relationship. A lot of you know that I'm sick. I got some health stuff going on. Working through that right now. Long story short, I was basically just going to take the rest of my life, which I didn't know how long it was going to be, and concentrate on making people happy, helping people, doing stuff throughout the day that made me happy, which was those couple things and more. And I ended up finding someone who eventually became my very best friend in the world. And down the road, quite a bit down the road, but after getting to know this person for quite some time and them getting to know me, I mean, we're talking like at least 6 to 8 hours a day of just talking and, getting to know each other. Just as friends, too. And I know that's going to come up for debate as well, but although there was some tension in there towards the end, we kept that strictly on a friendship basis. So that's possible as well. Don't let that be like a myth or, a legend, urban legend. It's all about how you perceive things and what you're willing to do. Yeah, it's possible. I found what I claim to be my true love. If there is such a thing, which this is another thing to keep in mind. I believed this for a long time, the majority of my life, and then I thought, after all these failed relationships, I thought, well, there's no such thing as true love. There's no such thing as a soulmate, or, there's not a person out there for everyone. If there is, and I said this to so many people so many times, if there's a person out there for everyone, mine's either dead or not born yet. In either case, I'm screwed. And that's what I believed. I didn't let that make me a bitter person. I just, I moved on with life from there. And then all of a sudden, here comes this person that falls into my lap. So unexpectedly, she was already in the room getting ready to fall into my lap, and I didn't even know it. I mean, we were best friends first. No, I can't get in any names or anything like that. Some of you already know who I'm talking about. I'll just keep it at that. My point is, we got to know each other very, very well. And we got to know each other's likes, dislikes, wants, needs, not just in a relationship, but in life itself, life in general. We get to see sides of each other that a lot of other people wouldn't have gotten to see. And that's just in the friendship part. And surprisingly enough, we were very compatible, and we just formed this bond. I don't even know how to explain it to you. Those that have one, or those that will actually be able to have that bond someday, you'll know what I mean, because it's like totally unbelievable. It's like, well, gee, this can't be. This is like out of a book, But it is possible. That would be the initial stage of the relationship, and going forward, it only grew from there. Up until a certain point, obviously, otherwise, she'd be sitting next to me. But it did grow, and you could actually see those growths. Times where we fell in love even more, as if that was possible. But, I mean, you have to work at it. You do need to take the time to get to know that other person. You do need to concentrate and listen, when they talk. I don't mean take notes or anything like that, but you should be excited to get to know your partner. And I'm not just talking about when you first meet. I'm talking about right now, to learn something new about your partner right now, whether you've been dating or seeing each other or married a day or 10 years. That should excite you. And you should be able to commit most of that to memory. I mean, I have a bad memory. I used to have an excellent memory, but I have a bad memory. But I can sit here and in detail describe to you things that she does or did for me that I absolutely loved. Small things, big things. And I can do the same as far as things that she loved. I can also at the same time, describe what it felt like to do this or do that, and although sometimes there's not always the words there for the description, because Webster unfortunately hasn't caught up to us yet as far as words and what we need to describe things. And yeah, see, well, here's an example right here. And this came to me actually last night, well before I was planning on even talking about it, which I don't know if that's coincidence or not, but I could sit there and start from the top of her head and just work my way down her entire body on certain things I would do where and how it would feel. And it was so real because the memory was so fresh and so detailed from listening and paying attention that she could have very well been there. I mean, obviously I ended up falling asleep, but you should be able to get to that point, is what I'm saying. And it's not just one person. Both of you have to be able to do that. If you can, that storybook, that movie becomes reality. It is a lot of work, once you get used to it, or once you get used to that way of thinking, it becomes second nature. At least it did for me. But and I guess this, again, it depends on your definition of storybook or, movie relationship. But some of the things that happened in that relationship are things that I thought would never, ever happen. For one, I mean, the whole relationship in the first place, finding a soulmate, or as she put it, your person. I was her person, and later on figured out that was like a Grey's Anatomy thing, but I thought she had come up with it, and it's perfect because it fits. It's more than soulmate. It's more than best friend. It's more than true love. She's your person. He's your person, And those of you that are religious, and I became religious after this. I started to get a little more religious anyway and learn about it. But, there's times when you might think, well, gee, maybe this person is here because I'm supposed to be with them, and vice versa. You never know. I mean, that's all open for speculation, and I'm not going to get into that whole side of it, but those of you that have known me for a while know that it took a lot for me to actually get into the whole religious thing and explore that, because just like the true love thing and the soulmate thing, yeah, I have a scientific way of thinking, unfortunately, but I have to say that relationship changed quite a bit on my way of thinking. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. You want a relationship where not just, what you do is refreshing and new, but the way you think, always keeping you thinking and, keeping things new and alive. That's part of it. I'm not saying that, old and boring is a bad thing either. Sometimes, you just want to sit down and be comfortable, or lay down and be comfortable with what you know. I mean, a lot of those small things I talk about, those are that very thing right there. I mean, they're nothing new. They're things that we've done, or she's done, or I've done, oh gosh, probably several thousand times. Like, I'll share a few. There's a smile that she has that drives me crazy. She'll sit there and kind of bite her lip, and she'll show just a little bit of her teeth, but you can tell that she's trying not to smile and let her big smile out. And the way she does that, it's just super cute. And I can add on to that. And again, this is just by paying attention, by getting her to giggle. And it's not like an ongoing giggle. It's just like one giggle, if that makes sense. It's like that right there, just laying and sitting together, that's one of those small things that not only drives me crazy, but it makes me extremely happy. And yeah, just because we've done that so many times, it is old and comfortable, but it's still refreshing as a relationship. And I think I'm getting off track here. My point is, yeah, don't let that whole storybook thing or movie thing or whatever else you want to call it, don't let that deter you from having the happiest relationship you possibly can have. But at the same time, once you get there and you do experience that level of happiness, if you're able to, it's just like any other living entity. You got to take care of it. You got to feed it. You got to water it. And you can't just go to the store and buy this stuff. Feeding it and watering it and nurturing it, that's you putting in what you need to do to keep it going, keep it like that. It's not like a record where once you start it, it'll keep going. Um, so there is some work involved, but try not to consider it so much work as it is experiencing or being in the relationship. Because you'll find out that that work, as I called it, it's quite fun. I mean, it's those giggles, you know. That's what it is. So hopefully I've touched enough on that subject where at least my point of view is out there now. I'm sure people are going to argue about this for, oh gosh, probably forever. But yeah, just because it can be written in a book or shown on a screen doesn't mean it can't happen in real life. I mean, somebody somewhere had to have something to go off of in order to write that, right? Other than a dream. So think about it that way. One thing you can't do, though, is you can't force it. You've got to let it come to you. But again, there's certain things you can do to help it along, and they've got to want the same thing, your partner. So if that's what you're looking for, look for someone or find a partner that's looking for the same thing and go at it. I mean, once me and her decided that we wanted to be in a relationship, the time it took from being just friends to being in that exotic, euphoric world really didn't take much. Other than the 2.5 to 3 nervous, painful hours it took for me to express my feelings to her. And to this day, she thinks that it's cute. I think that it was probably one of my worst times ever. I was klutzy, and yeah, we won't even go into that. Anyway, the time that it took to get from friends to that, because we knew each other as well as we did, and because that's what we both wanted, did not take very long at all. I'm not saying we rushed into it, but at the same time, it really, gosh, I couldn't even tell you how long it took. But it wasn't rushed. You'd know if it was rushed, you'd have that feeling of, gee, did we rush this? No. But, like I said, you have to feed it and keep it going from both ends. And you can get there. You can have that. And it's not necessarily something that has to fall in your lap, but all the more better if it does. And for those of you that have that already, you know what I'm talking about. So, maybe help me out a little here, make some comments about, how you experience it or how you go about it or how it happened for you. I'm hoping someday that I get to be at that point again, although I don't see it happening. And that's not a negative thing. That's, I think only certain people are going to be lucky enough to find that. And once you do find it, I don't think that it's something that's just going to keep happening and keep happening and keep happening unless you're in a place where, you have all these partners that they're just accumulated there and they all think the same way and act the same way, which would be awesome in one aspect, but at the same time kind of creepy. All I'm saying is, don't let anything stop you when you're in a relationship. Know when to give up, of course. Know when it's done. I hate using the word give up, but know when it's done. But make sure you give your all before you do put the peanut butter away. Because you never know what hallway is next. What door hasn't been opened yet. And you'll get there. You'll be able to, just like me last night when I was thinking, you'll be able to go through this person's entire body and not just notate physical things, but mental things or, just feelings in general. Like, I can tell you right now, although I'm not going to get into detail, but I can tell you right now that if I just think of it, think about it, picture it in my head, I know just what it feels like right now to kiss her. And all the way down to her lips and how they feel on mine. And I can also tell you that that particular kiss has gotten nothing but better. A lot of people like to say that the first kiss is always the best one. Well, in some aspects, yes. That was the best kiss we ever had, but only because of all the tension and everything behind it. Other than that, it's evolved over time, and each kiss was its own separate kiss. It wasn't just, well, here's all the kisses that we had. And it's true with everything that you do. Keep things fresh, keep things going. But yeah, that's one branch that kind of tied off to and went towards. I'm already 20 some minutes in, so I'll probably touch base on the other branch that it went off to either a little later or tomorrow. That one's a little bit tougher. Has to do with why I am sitting here alone. And am I truly happy sitting here behind the camera, or is this a fake smile? But yeah, that's probably going to take like another at least 20 minutes to get into, and it's, I don't even know what time it is. 7 something. Still time to get out there and enjoy yourselves, do something fun. Supposed to be an eclipse tonight. I believe it starts around a little after 9 Central Time, so maybe grab your person and get out there and enjoy it, or at least try to get your person to go towards the window around then and scope out the moon. But I will talk to you later. Hope you guys are having an awesome time, and I don't really have a sign off. If anyone has a suggestion for one, I'm all ears, but until then, I'll talk to you later.